It's dangerous to eat too much protein. Simple fact, especially if it's coming from animals. Your body doesn't store excess protein. Excess protein is changed into fat and stored in the organs.
It is true that technically we can convert protein into fat. But of the 3 macronutrients, it is the least likely macronutrient to be stored as body fat. And no need to worry, because protein is not going to be converted into fat and stored in the organs. The fat that surrounds the organs is referred to as visceral fat. And it is true that visceral fat is more dangerous than subcutaneous fat. Subcutaneous fat is the fat that sits right underneath your skin, and is typically referred to as the healthy kind of fat because it doesn't impair the functioning of your organs. And it's a safe space that the body has developed to store excess energy for times that we need to use it. Conversely, visceral fat is much more dangerous because it produces many more inflammatory molecules, and it can also impair proper functioning of the organs. With that being said, luckily, protein intake above the RDA, which would be considered a high-protein diet, decreases visceral adipose tissue. Additionally, this study mentioned that the quality of protein intake is inversely associated with abdominal fat. And the more visceral fat we have, the greater our abdominal fat. And the high-quality protein used in this study was milk, eggs, and beef.
And especially if you're vegan or vegetarian, you don't require as much protein. Here's why. It's because you have high amounts of raw chlorophyll, which come from green leafy vegetables. It actually stabilizes protein, so you don't require as much.
The danger of that clip is it does sound extremely enticing, saying that by some novel mechanism, somehow chlorophyll can stabilize the proteins in your muscles. The first thing to point out is that there's absolutely no evidence to back that statement. But the second thing that I want to point out is the fact that vegans do not require as much protein. This is actually quite the opposite. It's actually recommended that vegans should eat 1.3 times more protein than someone who is using animal sources to get all of their protein. And this is due to the decreased digestibility and quality of plant protein compared to animal protein.
Plus, your best source of amino acids are from fruits and veggies, which are the building block of protein.
So the statement that fruits and vegetables are better sources of amino acids is not correct. There's actually a protein rating system referred to as the DIAZ score that gives protein sources a score based off of how well their amino acid profiles fits the amino acid profile that we need. The highest sources on this list are animal-based sources, followed by different plant-based protein powders, with the highest whole food plant-based product being chickpeas. You see, no experts actually argue as to whether or not plant protein would provide you more of the essential amino acids than animal protein, because it's fairly well understood that animal protein provides you more of the essential amino acids in a more bioavailable and digestible form. All that really is argued about is whether or not eating sufficient amounts of plant protein is comparable to eating sufficient amounts of animal protein. Because given that the total volume of protein is adequate, it might not necessarily matter what source it comes from. And in a big meta-analysis done in 2021, they did demonstrate that the protein source does not affect change in lean mass or strength, given that total daily protein intake is adequate. With that being said, they did mention that the percentage of weight gained from lean mass versus fat mass was more favorable in the animal protein group compared to the plant protein group. And now the last statement in this video is that fruits and vegetables are originally where all protein comes from, because most of the animals that we eat in order to get our protein are herbivores. With that being said, the reason that animal products are more favorable than plant products is because animals actually have the capacity to synthesize amino acids that humans are not able to synthesize. And these are the amino acids that are deficient in plant products. And in essence, animals can create the essential amino acids that humans need, which is why animal proteins rank higher in scoring systems centered around the essential amino acids that humans need. And additionally, plant protein can be less bioavailable because plant protein is typically bound up in fiber. Therefore, if a plant product and an animal product have the exact same amino acids, but the plant product contained more fiber, it would be less digestible and bioavailable than the animal product that does not contain any fiber. This isn't to say that there aren't any benefits to fiber. However, it may decrease the amount of protein that we are able to absorb from plant proteins. But I think the main takeaway is that vegans should probably be eating just a little bit more protein in order to get the same amount of bioavailable protein compared to someone who's getting most of their protein from animal sources. And if you want to learn how to take control of your health and energy and avoid a lot of the misinformation online, send me a DM to sign up for coaching.